detective. I don't know. Out a little bit. Before I start, so you're ready? You're gonna have to flip some from pages from one page to the other. Land transfer tax, put it nice and big up here, is a one-time, on page 19, one-time expense. And the government loves it. But land transfer tax, the name says it all. It's the taxes they charge you for transferring the ownership from one person to another, or from a company to a bunch of people. Like, it doesn't matter. Every time something is sold, a piece of property in the city is sold, in the province is sold, they make money every time. So if you buy and sell 5 houses in your lifetime, the government loves it, right? Because every time something is sold, just like a car, they make taxes, right? So this is a one-time. It's very important that you understand that it doesn't happen once you pay it. Unless you move, it doesn't. You don't keep paying this. Whereas insurance, what do you think? Is insurance a one-time thing? No. No. So we're gonna go to property insurance, which is on page 13, and we're gonna call this ongoing. You're gonna need to know the difference. I can list like 5 different expenses. Yeah, go ahead. Ongoing, sorry, I should have said expense. This is on page 13. I'm going right back to 19, so just go to 13 at the top to say it's ongoing. You got to keep paying for it. It's just like your hydro bill, all these other. Most of the things are ongoing in this unit. Okay, so back to 19. Just like insurance, guys, you're gonna have to put your thinking caps on this one. I think it's very dated. The insurance is dated, and this is also dated, but this is exactly how it works. Exactly how the city or the province will tax you. Okay, so land transfer tax, you pay this tax to the Manitoba, right? You pay this to the Manitoba Land Titles Office at the time the title of your home is registered. Land transfer tax is paid when the owner of a property changes. It's paid when the owner of the property changes. The Manitoba government collects this revenue, and the lawyer hired to do the transaction will ensure the money gets transferred properly. Home buyers, that should not have an apostrophe there, but anyways, home buyers should have to be aware of this cost, as it is a one-time large cost. It's huge, required before possession of the newly purchased home. This first, the first $200,000 of the value is taxed according to a scale. Okay. Anything over 200,000 is taxed 2%. Okay. And before we move on, it's not the right time just yet. I will do a little bit more before I explain this step, like what the lawyer does with the money. How does the money go from you to the other owner? Like, how is that money transferred? It actually goes through your lawyer. Your bank gives the money to the lawyer. Your lawyer transfers the money over to the other lawyer representing the other party, and then that lawyer transfers the funds over to the other person. So it's not just like over the counter kind of thing. It's a bit more complicated because it's a big amount, right? So you ready for this part? This is where you need to wake up. I need the percentages. So the first $30,000 of the property of a home is just obviously zero. Like, nothing is, you don't pay taxes on that. On the next 60,000, you pay 0.5%, which if you divide this by 100, it turns out to be, is it zero? Yeah, 0.005. Okay, the decimal is really the one I would focus on the most. Okay. On the next 60,000, it's 1%, which turns out to be 0.01. On the next 50,000, it's 1.5%, which is translates to that. And anything above 200,000 gets taxed 2%, which is 0.02. Chart will always be provided. Let me just summarize this chart. I feel like it's a little messy here. So basically, land transfer tax, if you want to have this on your study sheet, this is the one I would suggest. On the first 30,000, you pay $0. On the next 60,000, you pay 0.005, which is 0.5%. On the next 60,000, you pay 1%, and on the remaining 50,000, that gets you to 200,000, you pay 1.5%. Above 200K gets taxed 2%. I think this should be changed, but the government uses this, keeps this, so. All right, so here's an example. I'll walk you through it. This is how I do it, and this is a guaranteed method that it will work every single time if you do it this way. Okay? Calculate the land transfer tax for purchasing a house worth $385,000. So this is what you do. You take that amount and you subtract. Look at this chart up here. You subtract the first $30,000 from it. And you immediately say, well, I'm not going to pay anything on that, on the first 30 grand. It's gone. Be careful with the space because we might run out, so kind of have them as close together as possible. 385 minus 30,000. Grab your calculator. Do this on your calculator regardless of whether or not you can do this mentally, okay? So this gets you to 355,000. What I do next is this. The next number on the list is 60,000. So you're going to say on the 60,000 here, we're going to subtract that from the amount, because remember, we're trying to tax the 385,000, okay? So nothing on the first 30,000. On the 60,000, how much do you pay? 0.005. And we're going to figure out that number a little later. Just leave it like that for now. You make a line. I take away 60,000 from that running total. I'm at 295,000. What's the next value on the list? So I went through this. The next one is 60,000 again. So I go minus 60,000. And I pay how much on those 60,000? 0.01. Very important to get those decimals right. I will just leave that for now and keep going. So you take the 295 minus 60,000. That's 235. What's the next number on the list? 50K, right? You subtract 50,000 and we pay 0.015, 1.5% on that, to be determined in a bit. What are you left with? I'm going to subtract 50,000. You're left with 185,000. Is there anything left to subtract? We cycled through this, right? We're done. You take whatever is left. You take whatever is left and you multiply it by 2%. So here we go. You're almost there. If you've done this part, you've done the trickiest part already. And I'm going to zoom in because it's a little hard to see, right? There we go. So you're going to see, after a while, you're going to see a pattern. I know some of you are going to know, you're going to memorize some of these numbers. But 60,000 times 0.005 is $300. Some of you are going to remember that. So you pay $300 on the 60,000 here. On the next 60,000, you're going to pay 0.01 or 1%. That's $600. Some of you are going to remember that as well. And on that, yeah, 750. Yeah. 50,000 times 0.015. That's $750. And then 185,000, sorry, that's what's left over, times 0.02, that's $3,700. As soon as you pay more than 200,000 for the house, it goes up quite a bit. Yeah. What I've done, it's a good question. Let's answer this and then I'll use the remaining space for that. So what you need to do now to figure out your land transfer tax, you just add up all these numbers, 0, 300. Are you serious, Mr. Erickson? Are you serious about the 0? Yes, I am. Just for now. Later on, you can skip it. But you basically add up all these numbers that you've calculated, right? L pi, okay? So 900 plus 750 plus 3,700, that's 5,350. And that is exactly how much you would be paying in Manitoba. So remember when I told you that the minimum down payment is 5%, but I told you to actually count more like 7%? This is why. This is one of the big reasons why you need to save up more than just the bare 5%. Okay? This is the land transfer tax. Yes, and you can only imagine if it's a $500,000 house, which is not a stretch anymore, right? This goes up and up and up and up, right? So the government, so if you buy a house and then sell it again next year, government is like keep doing that, right? Like we're cashing every time that's happening. Yeah. Exactly, and that's what I was saying. This scale is old. They should raise that, right? Yeah, yeah. So they need to update that. The insurance companies, I'll tell you, they have a computer system. I don't think we could ever really get exactly how they do it, but it gives you a rough estimate. This is why, guys. Anmol, you have a very good question there. This is what we were trying to do. Okay. So this, imagine this is the $385,000 bar. Right? We were cutting off from the bottom. So this is 30K, right? And then I took off 60K and another 60K and 50K, right? So this is 60K, 60K, 50K. So we were slowly slicing away and figuring out the amounts in between as we go up. And then the rest here just gets taxed 2% fixed. Everything above, this is like your 200K line, right? So any house you buy, the first 200K gets taxed this way, and then it's just 2% anything above it. Some of you are like scratch, right? Let's do a few. I want you to try. We're gonna try. Do you notice that I started off with a more realistic house price? I'm gonna go back 20 years, or yeah, 20 years probably, maybe 30 years, and we're gonna try that. Well, can I say something? I thought this was just a fairy tale price, but my brother-in-law, he lives in a small town. He moved there. He got married last year to a girl out there. They met online. It happens, right? He moves out there. He buys a house for $120,000. I'm gonna pause it because if he hears it, he's gonna be. It is possible, and it could also just be a piece of vacant land, just a piece of land. So you still pay this. It doesn't matter if it's a house. Any real estate gets taxed this way. One more example, guys, and then I'll leave you to it. Then you can probably just relax till the bell goes. How's that? Land transfer tax for this. Okay, follow me, please. And then I'll leave you alone, I promise. So if I were you, I will give you this, okay? But having this quickly available, the 30, 60, 60, 50, makes us a little quicker with these decimals next to it. So I'm going to take away the 30 first. And you automatically just say, hey, I'm not paying any taxes on that. You're left with 105,000, right? Then you take off the next chunk, which is 60. You pay 0.5% on that. We'll figure that out in a bit. Some of you will remember. Okay. What are you left with? 45,000. And here's where it gets interesting. We went through the first 30 up here. Look at where my pencil is. Went through this, went through this. Can you subtract the next category from it? You're all saying no, I can't. So you basically just take that still. You take the 1% and you just go ahead and attribute that to what's left over. You can't subtract anymore. So you're done. It's actually a lot quicker. Okay. So can we cheat off of this one? 60,000 times 0.005. It's not really. It's like, you know, a cheat in a game. It makes you do it faster. Okay. 45,000 times 1%. Can you do that in your calculator? Or you can do it in your head if you're comfortable with it. So that's what my brother-in-law paid for land transfer taxes. So it's just probably less, right? Because it's a smaller. It was less than 135. Land transfer tax is 0 plus 300 plus 450. And so that is $750. That's it. Sweet, right? You want to try the next one? I will give you the answer. That way you know you're doing things right. It's 1,500 even. Okay? 1,500 even. If you want to try one on the back side, you said you were going to leave us alone, right? One on the back side, if you come with me, example 4, that's all I'm going to give you here. This one is 2,150 if you want to know what the answer is to that one. So 1,500 and 2,150. If you want to try it before the bell goes, feel free to do so. But that's everything for today, guys.